People who do not know how to effectively delegate end up with three problems. Number one, they discover that their business can never grow big. Because in as long as you cannot trust anybody with anything, you want to be yourself in everything, then you can only lead a kiosk, only a very small business. So for growth in business, in organization, in the church, whatever organization we are in, we must know the value of delegation, especially as taught in the book of Exodus, chapter 18, by Moses' father-in-law. So you need to know that benefit. Anybody without it will not grow big. Number two, anybody who doesn't delegate is condemning himself to burnout. And burnout is not something that's come late. Psychologists have brought it into management science. But you can see in Exodus, that's what Moses was being told. If you don't do delegation, you burn out. You finish yourself. So you can see it will be important to understand that people who do not delegate end up dying early and in any way ruining their organization as they ruin themselves. But hardly important, if you don't actually delegate, you rely only on your wisdom. And yet you have people within your organization who may even be wiser than you. Because of lack of delegation, you have no chance to see it. But of course, there are certain problems of delegation. Some people, delegation is abdication. Because you delegate, your wisdom is no longer operational in the business or in the organization. To delegate, you are delegating a responsibility. No. Finally, you as the leader will hold you accountable for the things your delegatees do or don't do. So there must be a structure that allows you to check, delegate and check. Abdication is just going to play golf, because after all, there's somebody who can run your business for you. You ask questions during the AGM, you can't give an answer. You have no idea what happens in the business. Yet, the shareholders left you in charge as the chairman of the board. I think it will be important to understand delegation does not mean abdication. You cannot abdicate your role and claim I delegated. You delegate, but check. Then that way, whatever the vision and responsibility, the owners of the company, or if you are the owner, what you want to achieve long term, then it will be also, you will be able to achieve it, because the people you have delegated to will operate within the vision that you had from the beginning. And that way, everybody will benefit out of whatever it is you are doing. But then there's another problem where you claim to delegate, but then micromanage. Micromanage, again, is a term that has come in management science to mean where you have delegated to someone, then you every few minutes you are checking how far have you gone? Did you do it this way or this way or the way? That's why they came up with management by MBO, management by objectives. That you give your delegatee an objective to achieve, then leave him to achieve it. Agree the times of reviews, maybe quarterly or half yearly or annually. But since you are clear what the task is, you are clear what the objectives are, you leave him to actually, or give him space to fail if he fails, or to succeed if he succeeds. So you cannot claim to delegate and then you do not take the risk of allowing your delegatee to make mistakes. Obviously, there must be a safety net for the type of mistakes he can make. That's why most organizations have a manual of delegated authority to tell him you can make this decision, but if it comes to this, please consult me. You can give somebody leave for 2 weeks, but if he wants more leave than the leave days he has, you must consult me. That's what we call manual of authorities, so that the delegatees understand what they can do and what they cannot do. I think this is what we see in Egypt. Let's look at Genesis 41, verse 44. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, but without you, your word, no one will lift hand or foot in all Egypt. That is full delegation. But please note, Pharaoh reminds the prime minister, I remain Pharaoh. In other words, I'm still in charge. But I'll leave room for you to run Egypt for me. So some of the delegatees fail to recognize that Pharaoh remains Pharaoh. You will notice Joseph did not end up in that weakness. When his people, his family comes, he takes them to Pharaoh. Only Pharaoh finally allocates them the land of Goshen. He remained in charge, yes, but clear in his mind, he had a lot of power, but was delegated power. The bigger power was with Pharaoh himself. So it must be clear with delegatees that all they have is delegated authority. It must also be clear with the people working under delegatees that they are not the owners. If your boss tells you to do something against what the company says or what the board of governors says, please do not do it. You cannot help your boss to steal. You cannot help your boss in corruption because he does not have the ultimate authority. He has delegated authority. Delegated authority is a very important term. Many of us parents start thinking that we have ultimate authority over our children, not understanding our children are God's children, and we bring them up on behalf of the owner, God. After all, they are going to be in your home for maybe 20 years. After that, they're on their own, serving God. So as a father, as a mother, you must be careful not to mistake your authority as a final authority. Real authority is in God, and you only exercise delegated authority. That's why the Bible is saying, fathers, don't annoy your children. The owner of the children is saying, don't exasperate them. It's important for us to understand when you have delegated authority that God will hold us, the owner of the authority will hold us accountable for how we use that authority. And whether you are the chairman of an NGO, whether you are the senior pastor of a church, whether you are a bishop, whether you're an apostle, none of us in Jesus Christ's church have authority. He has already declared that he is the head of the church. So how can anybody else claim the same headship? He cares, I'm the head of the church. And since he retains the headship, just like Pharaoh saying, I remain Pharaoh, then it means that every pastor, every bishop, every apostle, every pope, whatever title you want to give yourself, must not act like his ultimate authority. We all only have delegated authority. And what matters is, are we in line with the owner of the authority? So, we are still talking about good governance. And good governance, whoever is the owner of the authority is encouraged to delegate. If he wants his organization to be well run with the wisdom of more than one man, if he wants his organization to go places and become bigger, if he wants his organization to reach the destination earlier rather than later, to be important, they embrace delegation. But number two, those of us who are now leaders and understand that we don't have the final authority. It is God's authority. It is the annual general meeting's authority, not us. Then we must keep checking whether what we are doing is in line with the owner. We must not forget we are not the real owners of the authority, that we only have delegated authority. So how we treat our subordinates must be in line with that authority. How we handle clients must be with that authority. The client may be my mother, but I can't treat my mother any different, because this organization is not my organization. It belongs to another. So I must deal with my mother when it comes to where I've been delegated authority according to the rules of the organization. So I can't allow nepotism when I have only delegated authority. And they have learned that if you are the subordinate in an organization where your boss has delegated authority, you must find out what the real purpose and policy of the organization is. And you must obey your leader in line with the overall authority to which he has delegation. So, what have we learned about good governance? That it is important for any organization to operate in peace, that we actually delegate some of our authority, because if we don't, we'll try to cover too much and or micromanage too many people, and in the end will slow down the process to a standstill. So as the organization grows, you need to find people you trust, whom you can share your responsibility with, and yet still be held accountable. You've also learned that once you know you have delegated authority, you are not allowed to do with it anything that the owner of the authority would not have done. So, for example, any authority a parent has is authority delegated to him by God who gave him the child. So you cannot do to your child something that the owner of the child, God, will not approve. So it's important that you understand delegated authority is not absolute authority. We also learned that if you know that your boss has delegated authority, you should not agree to do what he asks you to do if he asks you to do something that the one with the owner of the authority told you is not allowable.